Ladies, gentlemen, and monkey kings of all ages, it's almost time to go on a journey, specifically a journey to the West. In the new action game coming out on August 20th, 2024, Black Myth Wukong. Working with the people behind the game, we're going to go over all of the currently publicly released information about the game, and basically just talk about what you can expect from it based on what we know, and what the game is looking to be upon its release. First and foremost, you probably want to hear about the gameplay itself. It seems to be set in a world with somewhat set paths. Not quite open world, but not quite just walking down a hallway either, with action combat where you fight against both lesser creatures and enemies, as well as more challenging bosses along the way too. Definitely more than just an average hack and slash. The game also has precise dodging that you can do, as well as a number of special techniques for you to use to alter the outcome of a fight, and a whole load of spells that you can learn too. It definitely looks like there could be some challenge to be found here for fans of difficult action RPGs, and many people have referred to it as a Soulslike in a lot of its functions, and I would say that that is looking like quite a fair comparison so far. The way that the map and the levels seem to be laid out, the pacing of the combat with large telegraphed boss attacks, and even punishing smaller enemies that incentivize you to use your dodge that has iframes on it, use it liberally, and actually learn how to use it properly. And it's just looking like a really modern take on an action RPG that'll be quite intriguing to actually get to experience ourselves, and it also looks beautiful too. But it definitely does have a number of Souls-like aspects, and so it of course definitely has the attention of the crowd of people that love those games at the very least. With that then, let's talk about the actual story and concept of the game. All the way down to its very roots, Black Myth Wukong is based quite simply on Journey to the West, one of the most famous stories ever written, quite honestly. A simple background of the story that might give you some insight into what will happen in the game itself. It focuses around Sun Wukong, also often referred to as the Monkey King, the first main character of the story, and also notably the inspiration for, well, quite a lot of other characters in media, who is also, of course, the playable character within this game. A notable part of the story for the combat in the game as well is Sun Wukong's staff, a legendary weapon that can shrink down to be hidden on his person or expanded to be absolutely massive and just gain a ton of destructive power as well, which we will probably be able to do in some ways. This is represented in various ways in the gameplay that we've seen so far, with things like just swiftly changing the size of the staff to reflect an animation and make it easier for Sun Wukong to swing around, but also it is altered and played with a bit like making the staff have pointed edges on both sides that are both lit on fire, essentially just changing the style of the weapon entirely while it is in that form, which is an incredibly interesting interpretation of this mythical weapon for a video game format. The character is, in the original story, also proficient in many arts, including learning to shapeshift, which could be quite a major part of what's going on with the staff's full properties changing there. But also, the devs have confirmed that there will be just a large variety of spells that you can learn and master to completely change your playstyle within this game, often synergizing with each other and creating even more unique experiences as a result if you learn to use them and you use them in the right ways. Essentially, the beginning of Sun Wukong's story sees him searching for a way to immortality and going through trial after trial to retrieve it, attempting various different routes to potential immortality that he was told might work. Essentially, he just winds up getting in fights of larger and larger both scale and danger on the path to eventually achieving this goal. And eventually, through his elongated story and life within this, he ascends to even become a Buddha himself. So essentially, there is just a very long and beloved set of tales making up this entire journeys that the developers can pull from here and alter to suit their needs. My own guess, if I had to guess, and this is a speculation, is maybe the goal of the first game here would be just approaching that goal of immortality, and the various steps along the way to that, of course with greater and greater fights reflecting that journey too, until you just become able to live forever as a result. And another fun thing that I really like that we've seen about the game so far, that not only has to do with the original story and how it relates to that, but is clearly reflected in the gameplay too, is just, well, the silliness that the game seems to be offering. At the end of the day, the journey is one of epic proportions. It's long, it is dangerous, and there are a lot of lives at stake at various points within this, but it is more than anything else an adventure, and so there are just sillier aspects to it too, to actually fit the adventure context and make it actually feel like you're on a journey. It can't just be seriousness all the time. You have to be able to let some steam off once in a while. More comical aspects, like for example, fighting a rock golem, getting some of the rock from the golem stuck on your head so that you can only move your lower half, but then instead of just getting stuck or trying to break it off, you choose to smack yourself into the enemy like a hammer with the rock that is encasing your torso, because why the hell not? It's just inherently hilarious as far as I'm concerned, but it also shows a sort of determination at the same time. And even just that little interaction shows me that the developers definitely understand at least the tone of the source material that they're working with here, and the fact that they are managing to make that connect and link up even into the combat itself is just really cool. Not to mention the interactions that you can have in the world. It's just a really good feature feature that they have with this. Then we have the next aspect that I really do feel the need to touch on here, which is that the game is just absolutely freaking gorgeous. The backgrounds, the foregrounds, the scale of the world that you can see yourself fighting through, even when it is more of a streamlined area, the actual skybox in the distance still makes it feel really, really big, really impressively, massively scaled. It still has a real sense of it. Then we have the various skills and abilities and any sort of elemental or magic effects, either around the player or the enemies as well. And these all look absolutely incredible to me too, to a point that it is sort of mesmerizing when you just sort of look into them. Personally, I don't generally choose to play a game just based on the graphics, of course. I consider them a nice cherry on top, but the graphics of this are looking so genuinely good that it is a pretty darn big cherry this time around, at least for me. Then we have the combat once again, but more specifically, the boss encounters that we've seen so far. We've seen a few of the larger boss type fights, and they really take advantage of the general action combat mechanics that they have at play within the game. But I really love the sort of rhythm and telegraphing that the boss mechanics seem to have. For example, this guy here who just pounds the ground in a rhythm, which sends out waves that you have to dodge, matching the rhythm of his strikes to the ground to avoid taking damage from them as they reverberate out, and then you just find your opening to attack him between these hits into the ground. It's both a vibrant and engaging visual fight that doubles up as a really strong telegraph, and usually I find the game struggle to both look aesthetically pleasing while also giving you nice telegraphs that are accurate and noticeable so that it feels fair. It's a really hard balance to strike, but at least from what we've been shown so far from this game, it looks pretty solid in that regard, in my personal opinion. So that's pretty much it then, everyone. A general outline of what we've seen and what we know when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, coming out on August 20th of this year, 2024, for both consoles and PC. Click the link in the description of this video to add the game to your Steam wishlist immediately. And another thanks for sure to the team behind Black Myth Wukong for sponsoring this video from us. We really appreciate it, and really to just sum it all up, I'm just excited to see how this game will actually go when we get to try it on release. The combat looks extremely smooth. It's based off of a beloved classic story while still taking some creative liberties, and the way that they've incorporated the power set and the combat that we know and love as a whole just around this concept, and including its themes and even its tone into the feeling of the combat itself, is sort of crazy to me, and it makes me really just excited to sink into the world for a while once I finally get to. What do you guys think? Is this your kind of game? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. If you're excited for this, if it's something that you're actually going to be looking forward to, or if it's something you want to wish list, like we said, you can right now. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.